What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We gonna talk about the Toronto Raptors and Dwane Casey. I have been a person that covered the Raptors not that much, but over the last couple years, they have become one of the most talked about teams in the NBA to a certain extent, depending on who you watch and who you know. Only because they have been one of the best teams in the entire NBA in the regular season. And they have obtained two All Stars. One they got through trade, and the other one they developed and continued to improve. And been able to make a name for himself. Kyle Lowry was a guy that a lot of people gave up on. He got it in the right situation, made the best of the opportunity. Dwane Casey was a guy that when he took over the Raptors, they wasn't really that good. They didn't have Chris Bosh. They was rebuilding, trying to find a way to win, trying to find a way to get good. You know, he was able to help develop his talent while still helping them win. And they've been in the playoffs ever since, basically. And DeMar DeRozan said he owe a lot of to where he's at now to Dwane Casey. Um, for helping him develop with the coaching staff and pushing him in practice and pushing him in regular games to, give him that, that playing time and that confidence that he can go out there and do it on the court. You have to go out there and practice. You have to learn the moves and you have to go out there and utilize them in a real game to actually see the results. And DeMar DeRozan has continually improved, and even last year, becoming an All NBA player and averaging a career high 27 points a game, while still helping them win. And then you go into this season where they're the number one team in the East, and they had been since the second half of the season after Boston fell off a little bit. But not only that, they win a franchise high 59 games. They went on some decent win streaks, and Kyle Lowry been injured a lot. Sometimes DeMar DeRozan been injured over the course of the years, and they continue to win. And they continue to win 50 plus games for multiple seasons. Even with those injuries to those players, they still found a way to win 50 plus games over the last couple of seasons. So you do have to give credit to Dwane Casey for, making the best out of the roster in a regular season, coaching for them to win, and even changing the philosophy of how they should play. They used to be an ISO team. They used to be a one-on-one team. They used to, throw everything away in the fourth quarter and become a Damari and Kyle Lowry show. Last year, they even did it this year. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry gets out of the first round pretty handily. They looked at like the team to beat in the East in the first two games. The ball is moving. They knocking down threes. Jonas doing his thing on the inside. DeMar getting any shot that he wants. Kyle Lowry creating for himself, knocking down a spot up three, getting to the paint and knocking down free throws. They looked at unbeatable against the Washington Wizards those first two games. Obviously, they will go on to lose two more, but win in six. But you see how high their ceiling could be this season against that Wizards team, and the fact that they was able to close them out at their place was actually very impressive because Washington not your regular number 8 seed. Not only that, they actually was a higher seed. They just had injuries to John Wall and them, and that dropped them lower, and they was able to go out there and beat them pretty handily. In that series and wrap it up in less than seven. And never went behind in the series either. The lowest they went was tied at 2-2, and then they was able to win two in a row and close it out. So you have to give them credit for all those things, and you have to give credit to the team for going out there, executing the game plan, and going out there trusting and believing in Casey, and they winning, to them winning a lot of games in the regular season. Now, this is not probably the best comparison, but this comparison reminds me a lot more of Scott Brooks, a guy that had two great players, two all-star players, potentially more because Damari Carroll was on pace to be an all-star with the Hawks before his knees went out. That's not Dwane Casey fault. That injury occurred. It just things that happen with the NBA, but They remind me of the Thunder a little bit, having those great regular seasons, showing that they're one of the best teams in the NBA, showing that they're a championship contender, depending on the matchups, depending on who they play, and the fact that they really can beat anybody because they have two All-Stars. This is post to James Harden trade. And they have integrate pieces around these players like Jonas, like OG is a 3 and D guy. Jonas is a center that can rebound and impact the game like that and knock down and get layups and dunks. Then you have DeMar and Kyle Lowry, the nucleus of the team, the players that get the most attention, the players that are the stars, and then you get the guys like Ibaka that can rebound and knock down shots from the three, the modern day forward. Then you have the bench, Jakob Pertl. You have C.J. Miles, the sharpshooter, to come off screens and knock down spot up threes. So you have a lot of weapons that goes along with this team. They're not really one dimensional. They have the inside presence. They have the outside presence to a certain extent with OG and Miles, and then you have the star players around, and then you're trying to figure out how to utilize your stars with the roster that you have by Usai Ujiri, and it just never worked against the Cavs. Obviously, they was able to beat teams like the Bucks, teams like the Wizards along this journey. Obviously, they was able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James, and it still did not allow them to get over the hump. And that's the same thing I kind of felt about Scott Brooks, even though he got his team to the finals. Nobody really felt that Scott Brooks can get the team over the hump no matter how much talent they had. And then you see OKC have success winning 50 every season, even helping, a guy like Kevin Durant win MVP, and then they get out of the first round. Then they lose in the second round of Memphis. It's like you really win with a team that's great with Dwane Casey, and you start to question him as a coach. You started to question him as a leader. You start to question if he can get the job done, not just because he's not winning a championship, but you see the talent and you see the stars and you think he should be doing more, or he should be achieving more, and he should be taking his team to further lengths in the playoffs, especially since they were the number one seed this year. They changed the style, they changed how they play, they moved the ball, they had they had a deep rotation, they had a lot of young talent to give them youth and energy, but also veterans on this roster and stars. So you think that they had everything to beat LeBron, and they still came up short. And the fact that they got swept, that you won 59 games, will finish first in the East, and not only that you got swept, some of those games was blowouts. Even the last game wasn't even close. The season on the line, and you don't even come close to winning that game, and it's for the whole season, and you the number one team in the East, and you can't even win one game, even a closeout game. Y'all can't even fight or do anything. Y'all just lay down and go home. So that's embarrassing. But I think that was the end of it. Was that Casey? They felt like Casey just couldn't get them over the hump. They felt like Casey wasn't that guy. They tried him season after season. They didn't give up on him. They trusted and believed in him, but he just didn't deliver what all the Raptors fans and Uzziah thought he could do. They felt like they had to go in a different direction, to win a championship. So I think they definitely gonna have to make some personnel changes. I never was a fan of Dwane Casey, but he has changed and seen the light, and it still wasn't good enough to get them out of the second round as the number one seed, and it wasn't good enough for them to win a game. Obviously, you have to give credit to the players too. They did knock down shots. They made mistakes. DeMar DeRozan didn't show up some games. Kyle Lowry had some terrible games, so it's not all on Dwane Casey. The players play a part into that too, and even executing a game plan, knocking down shots. Casey can give you an open shot. He can run great plays. You still got to make the right decision. You still got to knock down the shots. So it's not all on Casey for them losing and not living up to their full potential. and getting to the NBA Finals as one of the best teams in the East for multiple years, and being the number one team in the East this year and not even winning the game is just simply pathetic. But one thing I will definitely say is they're still going to have to make personnel changes, and they're still going to have to find a way how they're going to approach this Cleveland team. LeBron is getting older, but he hasn't slowed down, so I don't think you can say, well, we got Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, we'll just wait for our turn. DeMar DeRozan is 28. Kyle Lowry is already in his 30s. He's only getting older. DeMar is only getting older. And even though they have youth on the bench and they have youth, their star players isn't the youngest players, even though DeMar is entering his prime and he's coming off an all NBA third team season and a solid season this year too. And he's been a perennial all-star alongside Kyle Lowry. Um, Kyle Lowry is around the same age as LeBron, so I don't know if that's going to work. And DeMar DeRozan has not played well in the playoffs, and neither has Kyle Lowry. They haven't done enough to warrant that type of praise because, I feel like a team like Philly and Boston has a brighter future, a longer future, and a longer window because of their age, because of their youth, and because of the talent they have amassed um, in the process. And I think Toronto has amassed a lot of talent, but the coaching definitely need to continue the ball movement. They need another superstar or star player. So you definitely got to try to get rid of Jonas or Serge and some of that young talent and a couple of draft picks to put this team over the top to where they're really a serious contender. Toronto been one of the top three seeds in the East for multiple years, and not one of those years I thought there was a contender. Not even this season. You can go back and watch the videos and everything. I never was on a Toronto bandwagon, and now you see why. But as a fan, I can't really blame you guys because you want to see your team win. You want to see them win the champion, especially the season that they had. And I can't really blame you guys for thinking y'all going to win the whole thing. But at the same time, I was just being real with myself. I didn't buy the Raptors because they do this every season and be one of the top teams in the East and lose quickly. And that's what they did this year. And the fact that they had to go against LeBron and the Cavaliers, and this was their weakest point. This was one of the weakest rosters, and for them to lose like that and have everybody on the Cavaliers play well, and you're supposed to be one of the best defensive teams, and then you struggle to score the ball, and you're supposed to be one of the best offensive teams, it just show you that the Raptors really flopped in that Cleveland series and folded, gave up, and even in the game 4, they packed their bags and was ready to go 1, 2, 3 Cancun. So that's all I gotta say about that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. And tell me, do you think he should have been fired? Do you think he should have stayed? Do you think they're not going to find a coach anyway? Kind of like the Thunder where they got rid of Scott Brooks and then they get Billy Donovan and he hasn't been able to help them win or get over the hump. And he lost in the first round the last 2 years. And he also lost against the Golden State Warriors up 3-1 as a coach. Even though Kevin Durant and Russell play a part in that, they still wasn't able to get over the hump. And soon as KD go to Golden State, he wins a championship in the ring. So that just lets you know that maybe it's the team, maybe it's the matchups, maybe it's the coaching, or maybe it's just the personnel can't, deliver what the fans really want and the organization really want, which is a championship.